Broads Media.
This is a very strange feeling. You're winning. But now there's controversy. Your wide receivers talking about your quarterback, and your quarterback storms off during his media availability after the game. We're in weird times again. We're going to talk about this further in detail. Before we do, though, hello, welcome. If you are new to the channel, make sure you hit the subscribe button, hit the thumbs up button as well. I greatly appreciate all of your support. And you can take me on the road with you by going to Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, any of your podcasting platforms. Search Sports Talk with Broads or Broads Media. If you subscribe over there, leave a 5-star rating and a review. It means the world. We also have memberships here on YouTube. If you want more Broads Media content your way, we do Coffee with Broads every week. So it's a lot of fun. Make sure you check it out. And lastly, we all sports bet here, right? Of course we do. It's so much fun. What if I told you there is an opportunity to maximize every sign-up bonus on these online sports books? All you have to do is click the link down below in the description, bookies.com/broads, and it will show you all of these sign-up bonuses that will wow you to death, by the way, and you have to take advantage of them. If you sign up with that link, you will not be angry. Oh, and don't forget about my friends over at Garage Beer, baby. Look, every other beer out there is essentially our passing game. And Garage Beer is our running game. If you don't like IPAs, let me tell you something. 0% IPAs, 100% light beer. This is the best light beer I've ever consumed in my life. My fridge is stocked. My basement fridge is flat out stocked to the tippy top of Garage Beer, and yours should too. DrinkGarageBeer.com. Check out the information all down below. Thank you all so much, and enjoy the show. Yo, what's going on, everybody? Welcome on into Sports Talk with Broads. I did not think this would be what the day after pod was going to be, but here we are. And just to give you a little behind the curtains look, I am doing the overnight shift all week long on WIP because John Johnson's on vacation. So Monday through Friday, I am on the air 2 a.m. to 6 a.m. I have to get my body clock right for those type of hours. So because I wanted to continue to give you content and shows and podcasts, I ended up just recording earlier, scheduling it out, and having it ready to publish while I was taking a version of a nap, if you will, at a very strange time. Well, yeah, that show that was ready, you could throw that right into the damn recycle bin. Wasted my time. It's useless now. It's useless after Brandon Graham on the Brandon Graham Show shares his view and his perspective on AJ Brown, on Jalen Hurts, on the passing game being all out of whack. Here's the timeline. After the game, AJ was asked what needs to improve with the offense. He responds with one word and one word only: passing. Now, I didn't really have a problem with it at the time. I still really don't have that much of an issue with it now because he's not wrong. They're 31st in the league, sandwiched in between Drake May and the New England Patriots and Caleb Williams with the Chicago Bears. The Tennessee Titans are down there. These are the type of squads that you are around statistically while trying to throw the football around the field. It's unacceptable, right? And when I heard AJ talk, it didn't hit me like he wants every target in the world. How it hit me was this. I understand that we are a run-first team. I know that Saquon is going to get a bulk of the carries, and we are going to lean on our offensive line, and that's what puts us in a great position to compete for a Super Bowl. When we do, though, have those limited opportunities to pass the football, I'm open, and the ball has to hit me more. So it's not about we now need to turn Jalen from a 20, 21, 22 throws a game guy to 40. No. If he's throwing the ball 22, 23, 24, hit me, I'm fucking open. And the tape shows that pretty aggressively. If they kept the distribution the same way it is now pass run, and Jalen's just letting the ball rip and head number 11's way, where he gets a chance to do damage, keeping the same number of passes and runs as it has been, I don't believe AJ Brown is upset or disappointed. 31st in the league means something's broken. You are allowed to speak up if something's broken that badly. So that was my view on it from a very broad sense. I don't believe that AJ was doing anything brutally disgusting with his leadership the way that I've seen him fail in years past, by forcing teammates to have to answer questions from the media because he didn't feel like showing up, and knowing the questions were for him and about him and he would have more insight than any of his teammates would, he still made Devontae and others have to face the music instead of him. I didn't like that. And then he said, well, I wouldn't have said anything good. Well, you can control that, AJ. So I didn't like that. This, you're 31st in the league out of 32 teams with AJ, Devontae, Saquon in the passing game too, and Goddard when he's healthy. This can't continue if you have the goal of winning a championship. And I thought AJ expressed that fairly. So that was number one after the game. Then, which got a little unnoticed, Jalen Hurts stormed off in his media press conference. Just left. Mid-questions, got up and dipped. Strange, right? He may give you cliche answers. He may give you a little bit of nothing. He may just spew word vomit of cliches. But he'll answer the questions. Got up and left. Now, on Monday evening, we get this bombshell. I'm sure a lot of you have heard it. But if you haven't, here it is for the first time. And if you have, here it is for the 1,000th time, because I know my ears have been glued to this thing. In what world? Here's Brandon Graham on WIP talking about the AJ Brown, Jalen Hurts situation.
The person that's complaining need to be accountable. And I'm just being honest. You know what I'm saying? Like, and he know this. He, you know, I don't know the whole story, but I know that one is trying. And I mean, 11 could be a little better with how he respond to things. And they was friends before this. It's like, man, but things have changed. And I understand that because life happens. But it's the business side that we have to make sure that we don't let the personal get in the way of the business. And that's what we got to do better as right now, because we know it's an issue. Everybody's seeing some things, but we need to be able to talk things out as men. You know what I'm saying? But we need to let personal stuff go and let's get right for this game, because, man, it's like a lot of stuff, most of the time it's just a conversation that just need to be had, but the person with the problem got to want to talk to the person other than others.
Okay. All right, so that's really massive, by the way. What was just stated, very, very massive. Brandon Graham had further comments through Tim McManus. He had further comments through, who else? I think John Clark was another one. And he said, I should have talked to them first without assuming what others said. Because what hit me the hardest was they were friends, right? That whole spiel about they were friends. I don't know what happened there. And now BG saying, you know what? I should have talked to them first without assuming what others said. That implies that there are people in the locker room that feel AJ and Jalen once had this strong best friend connection, and through the years, through the couple of seasons, maybe things have taken a turn. I don't know. There's all sorts of video footage of Jalen and AJ celebrating, dapping up, doing the Fresh Prince celebration after big plays are made. Didn't seem to be an issue then. But I'm not going to rule out that something is starting to boil. They're 11-2. They're a damn good football team. They're on a 9-game win streak. Yet here we are. And I guess when I really let it digest, this is where I'm at the night of. Maybe I'll have a different perspective throughout the week. Maybe I'll get more information somehow. Maybe we'll hear more things. I do believe the further statement is a lot of damage control because I'm sure the Eagles PR is not thrilled with AJ, not thrilled with BG, very not thrilled with BG. That's very out of Brandon Graham and his leadership, what he did. We all love BG. I was a little shocked to hear him so open and honest, knowing that he's almost doing what AJ is doing, just on the radio and not in front of his locker after a game. And you know what this could be? This could be an identity crisis when you're not on the field and active. I've been there. I had thumb surgery. My thumb's hanging off my hand because I blocked a shot when I was on the penalty kill during college hockey. I was out for months. They had to put pins in my hands. I could show up to practice and be the energy guy all I want, watching practice, watching film, being in the locker room when everyone else is, going on the road and playing games on the road and all that stuff. When you're not really lacing them up, you do lose an element. And I wonder if there is a part of BG right now in this very weird position that he's in as someone who was contemplating retirement if they had a sensational year and he would run out on or ride out on the sunset, I should say, or, does he have one more year left? He was balling out. Now he's like this. He still wants to win, but he can't be a part of it. I don't know. I'm just throwing things out there and wondering if there's any truth to it, but I know the pain. I know the suffering. I know that feeling. It is gut-wrenching. And I wonder if there's any part of the frustration right now that maybe factors in to talking like that. Meaning, if he was in the locker room every day playing, would he have still commented the way he commented? I don't know. Here's my big takeaway of it all, though. Something's off. Right? Something's off. In what world? A team that is 11-2 and all rocking in the same direction with a strong brotherhood and strong relationships and a family-like attitude has turmoil like this. Doesn't mean they can't win in spite of it. The perfect example that everybody uses is Shaq and Kobe. Didn't like one another. Got the job done. Saquon is having a year that is on pace to be the best running back in NFL history. That's the type of season he's on. Maybe that combined with Jeff Stoutland is enough to overcome any drama inside the NovaCare complex. I don't know. Maybe Vic Fangio, Zach Bond, Quinyon Mitchell, Cooper DeJean, although the vet said, "You're not close yet, bud." That's what Adam Thielen said to Coop. Quinyon had a rougher day in coverage as well. But look, if the defense thrives and your running game thrives, can you still make this thing happen with weird exchanges between AJ and Jalen and a piss-poor passing game? It's not impossible. it just makes it already more difficult than it is to win a title. There's another layer of adversity that you have to hit, which is the Eagles getting in the way of the Philadelphia Eagles. And that's a rough task to overcome, but not impossible. A lot of this also stems from we just went through it. We just went through a bunch of drama. And it was the reason why they failed last year and things got super uncomfortable. To this year's team's credit, though, I've now laid out maybe 2 or 3 different examples of where I thought the season could have been derailed. And in one of those, it was 4 weeks in, head coach being called a clown publicly, and he ended up turning this thing around like no other could. It's a very difficult task. Good for him. Do they have another one up their sleeve? Is the makeup of this team so strong? Is the talent in the room so strong? Is this such a turning point moment that in a weird way it rallies them together to have those uncomfortable conversations where AJ, BG, and Jalen, they all sit down after this exchange happened. They dap each other up, be like, yo, boys, come on. Come on. We love one another. We know what the ultimate goal is. We know what we're capable of doing. We know what this locker room is filled with, a bunch of talent. Let's figure this thing out. All right? We got to iron out these kinks. It's not going to be perfect automatically after we sit down and talk. But let's just clear the air and let's make sure we move the right way. It's not impossible. I'm worried something's off, though. I feel better about this group maybe being able to overcome these problems than, let's say, last year's group. This is pretty rough, though. This is pretty intense. It went from not a big deal in my eyes to, hold on a second. Now, when I was leaving the studio, Joe DeCamera and John Ritchie took over at 6 a.m., as they do for the morning show. And Joe, Seltzer, a lot of the guys, and Rhea, they were talking pretty heavily about how egregious the AJ Brown comments were. I didn't feel it was as pathetic as they did because I really thought it was more about we need to execute those limited amount of throws that we are having better. And it's so true, though. It's so true. Is that the best way to voice your frustration? Probably not. But that's how AJ moves. And on the AJ scale, because the AJ scale is different than other scales, from a diva, veteran, wide receiver, top-end premier talent sort of wide receiver that has a bunch of personality and is a diva, on that scale, using that as the bar, that was nothing from AJ. Nothing. And when your ranking is so low at 31st in the league, I don't know how you could ever be disappointed when you hear that someone so skillful like AJ is upset where that's where the passing game is. You know what my thought would be? Yeah, no. I think that's an area where they can improve too. If I'm anybody in that locker room, if you feel where AJ is concerned about the offense and where he feels it needs to improve, if you think it's anything other than that, then what the hell is wrong with you? Where do the Eagles need to improve their passing game? Or excuse me, their offense, passing game. Okay. Okay. It's unbelievable. It's unbelievable. Something's off. Something's off. Here's something that is talked about. I'm not going to say it's not talked about enough. It is talked about. But the obsession with Saquon Barkley this year. Feeding him. Records. Let's break shadies. Let's break this, guys. Let's break that, guys. Let's go for the ultimate record. Is there such a strong view on that it's rubbing people the wrong way? Is it so intensely, heavily all about number 26 and history and what it would mean for the record books and the Eagles logo and the Eagles crest being such a huge part of the history of the NFL and what that can mean? And he's so close and he's on pace and he's so electric and no one's going to stop him. And on a bad day, he runs for 120 with 6 yards per carry. And we go, doesn't feel that explosive. That doesn't feel that explosive type of day at the office. Where you think you go for 180, 190, 170. He ends up with 120 and you go, I thought it would be more. That's the type of season he's having. Is there so many strong views towards that inside the NovaCare complex from top to bottom that it is ripping the chemistry of this team apart? Because is that the goal? Is that where everyone's focus is? Is that what they're trying to accomplish? More so than figuring out details in the passing game? I don't know. It looks that way sometimes. A basic standard tush push by the goal line turned into a let's see if we can get Saquon Barkley in the end zone instead. Then it failed, so they ultimately resulted to go back to their bread and butter, and they got the tush push in within a half a second. But they obviously went out of their way from their strengths to satisfy the running back. Now, Saquon seems like such an A-plus person. I don't think anybody has any sort of poor feelings towards him because he just seems like an automatically great guy for any locker room you throw him in. But just the energy surrounding the nature of him locking in that record. Do people feel it's taking away from the greater good of getting this thing where it needs to be if you want to operate at a higher clip? Airing out the football. If you go ahead and look at where other teams who run the ball well land passing-wise, doesn't even come close to the monster separation in the Eagles. The Eagles are at the top in one and all the way at the bottom at the other. It's not that in other ways. I should never have to ask for the passing game to be average. But if this passing game was average, with their other areas being so sensational, they're a juggernaut. They can't be stopped. This thing is so flawed. It's crazy. A lot of it's on the QB. I think a lot of it is systemic too. Because when it's this gross, it's more than just not ripping it early enough. Now, that's a part of it. There are plays to be made. You could see all the all-22 people breaking it down. Here's AJ wide open. Here's AJ wide open. But then, you also get details like Shane Haff, who does an amazing job breaking this stuff down on Twitter, says it's becoming pretty predictable that in any must-have-it situation, a curl route to the sticks is the answer. This is the third time in 4 plays that we've seen this as the Eagles' plan. That's great when you're threatening vertically, but the Eagles have attempted only 2 passes of 20-plus air yards in the last 3 weeks combined, and teams are starting to sit on these same routes more. Then we hear, I believe it was Lane Johnson a little bit ago, saying Roquan Smith is calling out all their plays at the line of scrimmage. I understand that there is there's a lot of film study. There's a lot of people who put in time and players who put in the respected dues to watch film, and they're smart. A good linebacker, a good defensive end, a good pass rusher, a good secondary player. Any of these guys who are in this league at a high level do their job too. And they study film and they recognize their opponent's tendencies. And that's all part of it. Just like I'd imagine Zach Ball and Nakobe Dean, when they sniff something out, they probably have a tell on this might be a screen. Then they blow it up before it could get any sort of life. We could probably do the same thing to some degree, with some of our linebackers, let's say. there's also real problems if Roquan Smith gets to it at an extreme level. And I don't know to the level that he had it, but knowing, just like Shane Haff said, there's other areas that seem to be crazy, insane tendencies. And you got guys like Dan Orlovsky talking about how this passing game offense is so vanilla. The fact that you can't even break through on such a standard fundamental concept. If we're just running fundamental concepts, but then it goes, are you running fundamental concepts and vanilla type stuff that isn't very complex because your quarterback can't make the throws, so we can't even get to the complex level of the playbook? Or is it not complex because the offensive minds aren't being smart enough right now? Although Kellen Moore gets canned in Dallas for his commitment to throwing the ball a ton and for some of his philosophies offensively. So it's a weird mix, man. I'm telling you, it's a weird mix right now. And I heard this all throughout my previous show I did, that the run game being so good is why the passing game is stinking right now. And some fans feel because of the dominance in the run game, it's okay to struggle like this offensively. No, it's not. No, it's not. That's silly. Oh, that was my alarm. Hold on a second. I apologize. Nobody likes to hear that. Nobody. These weird hours, man, these weird shifts are screwing me all up. So, where was I? Oh, okay. So, the run game, okay, complementary-wise, the run game should complement the passing game. This should be easier because of the passing game more than anything else. Hold on. Now I'm starting to hear a little crackle in my mic. Good thing this show's about to end. Because now I'm getting pissed off. Oh my God, pissing me off. Hold on. Okay. Man, I'm a mess. I'm like the Eagles passing game. No, the run game, if anything, the run game being this significant is what should allow for the offense and the passing game to thrive more. It should make it easier. It should open everything up. If you are focusing on Saquon Barkley, right, and you know that he is going to get a bulk of the carries and he's going to take over a game, every single set of eyes is going to be glued on stopping him, at least doing your very best to make it difficult for him to run through you, right? Now, if you could get Jalen Hurts under center and run play action off of his ability to be so strong, then think about where AJ Brown has some leverage. Think about where Devontae Smith has some freedom. Think about where any of these men who are running downfield trying to get open has an advantage in their matchup. So if you can get Saquon to thrive and get chunk yards and get 6 yards per carry and 15 yards and 12 yards and 18 yards and 22 yards, and then you can run play action off of that, you will see a bunch of defenders bite, and now there should be plenty of time, plenty of space, plenty of availability to take advantage all over the field trying to air the ball out. And it's not working, so it doesn't go the other way. Your run game succeeding shouldn't ever hurt your passing game. If so, there's something really wrong. If so, there's something seriously broken. And I believe there's something broken right now in this passing game. I really do. I want you guys to hear from Luke Wilson. He does work up in TSN now for some Sports Center in Canada, and he kind of gave you a description very similar to what I just said, but I think coming from an expert puts it in some good perspective. Here is Luke Wilson.
For 90% of quarterbacks, this is the dream situation. Everybody is prepping for you to stop the run, and you have two absolute monsters playing receiver. It doesn't get much better, and somehow we throw for 108 yards, and we've said it on this show many times. We're not processing the game of football, and Kellen Moore is simplifying this offense for him to make reads, but he's not doing it. So that's kind of where I get a little nervous with this Philly team, is it's like if we don't hit the go ball big play, we're not able to play that pass game offense that you need in order to win in this league consistently. Or you're putting a ton of pressure on your defense, which Philly has done, and they've balled out.
Yeah.
Or you have a running back that rushes for 2,100 yards.
I mean, he says it perfectly. And where would this team be without Saquon Barkley? If it was a DeAndre Swift, if it was a Miles Sanders, I mean, this thing probably would have gotten way, way, way uglier, way, way, way sooner than what we're even discussing now. That's been a key part to this, though, with the whole identity of the team. There were reasons why I wanted to rip my hair out early on, because I would make claims that the only reason why they're winning is because Saquon's bailing them out. And then the counter argument would always be, well, who cares? You have him, others don't. Isn't that why you go spend money on special players? Because they can bail you out? Because they are better than everyone else? Because they are what separates you from the rest? If it's a close game and you can squeeze by because Saquon takes it to the house in the fourth with 3 minutes to go to give you a touchdown lead, isn't that why you spend all that money to snag him from the Giants and steal him from the Mara family? And yeah, I mean, to a degree, yes, but there also needs to be more competent play around that. There needs to be more structure around that if we're talking about the ultimate prize. What I can't do is subscribe to this. Stop complaining they won 9 straight, and you just have to focus on the wins. That's the main point. Yes and no. Yes, winning is the objective. Yes, winning is what you want at the end of the day. But when you are in a position to be in the mix for a Super Bowl consistently, which the Eagles are, the mindset shifts to what can we do that can win? What can we do that can make us not win? And when I say win, I'm not talking about a random 1 o'clock slate game against the Panthers. I'm talking about win-win. You have short-term goals, long-term goals. Short-term goals, let's win this matchup this week. Good stuff. Long-term goals, let's win the division. Let's earn a bye. Let's host an NFC championship game. Let's get to the Super Bowl. Let's win the Super Bowl. You can target long-term goals while also acknowledging your short-term goals. You could win in a way that you feel won't help the long-term goals, and you got to get back to the drawing board. So you have a green check mark against your short-term goals that week, and you got a red X for your long-term goals that week. That's not crazy. I think that's actually good business. I think that's actually a good way to do it. But as I continue to sit here and ramble, though, here's where I sit today, Monday night, as the Brandon Graham stuff is fresh. It's a fresh wound. I'm sure over the next couple of days, we'll get some more info from him, from others, from the team, from whoever. Something's fishy. Something ain't right. Something ain't right. All right, everybody. Thank you all so much. I appreciate you hanging out. You guys are the best. I'll talk to you on the next one.